Had a great weekend. I'm back again. Took a little time off, but really my time off is not really time off. I don't get a free moment very often, but the Lord did give me a couple hours of peace. I want to talk today about how to deal with narcissists, how to deal with people who are wolves in sheep's clothing in your life. This is a common problem, and this is something that I have had to deal with my entire life. Even before I was saved, I was always the type of person who would try to be nice to other people, try to always gain acceptance. And in gaining that acceptance, you allow these narcissists to walk all over you. This is something that I struggle with even to this day. In fact, it's a different kind of situation now, because now I feel the desire to help people in a different way. But that love and compassion that I feel for people, I feel for even the worst of them. Even the worst people out there, I can't help but loving. And it's the hardest thing to do, but it is something that lately I've been getting better at. Loving your enemies, forgiving your enemies. But what does this mean? Does this mean we're going to be a pushover then? Does this mean we're going to be some sort of just punching bag for them? Because if you give somebody an inch, they'll take a mile, especially a narcissist. It's the type of personality they have, and they will completely destroy your life if you let them. If you're stuck in a relationship with someone like this, it's a living nightmare. Hello, Chad. How are you? God bless you, brother. Good to see you again. How you doing tonight? I'm trying to make this thing a regular podcast, but I've got to figure out the whole webcam thing, and then I'm gonna try to invite guests on, but I've got to be careful about that, because inviting guests on, well, obviously you Chad, and others who want to come on, but if I have an open invitation for people to come on, then obviously people will just start popping up on here with, I know there was one other Christian channel I was watching, and I guess you could put like just a picture for your profile, and one of them was just a big scrotum. So the whole time he's doing his show, there's just a big scrotum there, and it had like little googly eyes on it and stuff. I mean, it was pretty funny actually, but I mean, it was definitely not appropriate for a Christian show. So I've got to figure out a way to control that, and I'm not very good at the whole technology thing, so it's a learning curve. How is everybody else doing? Mr. Wonderful, hello. Nice to see you. Hunter, Duck Squad, hello. Did you guys have a nice weekend? I want to talk about anything you want to talk about tonight, but I really want to focus on narcissists. And I'm kind of waiting to see if someone in particular shows up, because that'll give me a good chance to kind of talk about some of the things I was going to say. But if they don't show up tonight, I guess I'll get to it anyway. Jay, hello. You're new here? Well, it's nice to see you. I just try to talk about what's going on in your life. If you're struggling in life, if you are dealing with certain issues, anything really. I mean, within reason, but anything on your mind? Yeah, I'm wearing the Steelers hat. I'm wearing the Steelers hat so I don't blind you all with my bald head. And it's the only hat that I have in here, so I need to buy a new hat for sure. I was looking for some different hats, but I don't know. I've got such a big head. It's like you gotta buy like a specialty hat. Maybe I should buy those like those really crazy big hats, and it'll actually fit me just perfectly. Mike Tomlin is scared for his life out there. Yeah, Mike Tomlin is he is definitely. They always say how he's a leader of men and everything, and I respect that, but he is mediocre for sure. He's just above mediocre. That's what we settled for. But it's fun to. I'm rooting for Buffalo or Houston now, so hopefully one of those two will come out, and maybe Houston will surprise some people, but I don't think so. Buy a Nike Flex Fit hat. Yeah, that's I bought the one. I had a Pittsburgh Pirates hat, or I still have it, but it's kind of getting worn out. I think it's like a Reebok or something, but it was like the most comfortable one, because I want one I can wear in the summertime that's will fit my big head, and then is still not like too hot, because it gets 1,000 degrees down here in North Carolina. But so do you all struggle with narcissists in your life? I know that some of you I've talked to, some of my regulars on here, have dealt with very complicated issues. They've been married to a narcissist, they've been dating a narcissist, and they've had children with them. And when you have children with narcissists, then, especially if you're a man, then they have a bargaining chip. I'm saying you're a man, and the woman is the narcissist. They have a bargaining chip to basically rule you. There's nothing you can do at that point, because the courts will always side with them. So you've got to deal with that in a different kind of way. And that's something that I wish I could give you more advice on, but maybe somebody here would have some sort of advice on that. Chad, put on the armor of God every morning. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Jesus said that there will be wolves in sheep's clothing, ravenous wolves. And the only way you'll know them is by their fruit. Because narcissists, when they become adults especially, some of them are so good at it, and they will convince every single other person in their life that they are some wonderful person. Or, people, unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand basic psychology. So they will convince people to kind of follow them, and they will turn people on you if you try to stand up to them. You see, I have a couple people that are very close to me who are dealing with complete narcissists. And, I've dealt with them myself. I still have them in my life. There's sometimes you just can't avoid it. You've got family members or close friends. Well, close friends, you can avoid them easier than family, but they try to stand up to them. And, I've given them advice before, and they say, I don't want to stand up to them anymore, because all it does is causes a fight. They get mad at me, and then I have to deal with them coming at me and trying to ruin my life for the next however long I'm near them. Be it at work or at school or wherever. But this is very, very tough, especially for Christians, because Christians are called to be compassionate, to be loving. And when you are compassionate and loving like that, you become like blood in the water. You become blood in the water for atheists and non-believers. A lot of them atheists, obviously, I'm speaking in general terms, this isn't everyone, but a lot of atheists, they have been hurt by people. Maybe they grew up in a hardcore Christian home and had very strict Christian parents, or maybe they were abused in a Christian home or in the church. And so they have a hatred, just a pure hatred of Christianity, and they obviously, in a neglectful upbringing, excuse me, I'm still getting over this cold. I guess it's going to linger forever. It's been like months now. I think it's been several colds actually, but so you have these neglectful upbringings where these people were abandoned by their parents, by their, the people they love. And just like any child, you have to do whatever you can to get attention. So even if it's basically causing a scene, toddlers will just throw a fit just to get their way. And a lot of times parents now will just give in to them and give them whatever they want. Put a pad in front of them, an iPad or something like that, and just shut them up. And that just builds them into this narcissist, that they understand that they can get what they want by throwing a fit. And they're not really, again, I'm speaking in general terms. They're not really concerned with love, feeling love, or feeling any kind of good compassion or good emotion. They like it. They like when you give them things. They think they're, they basically think that they're entitled to your charity and your time and your efforts. And if you stop giving it to them, they will lash out. If you stop giving a narcissist what they want, they will absolutely they will do whatever they have to beat you down, so you will go back to being that good little pushover that'll give them whatever they want. And a lot of times they're so smart because they've done this for so long, and you haven't done this, so you are just trying to figure out what's going on. They're playing 4D chess, you're playing checkers. They're going to beat you every time. This is borderline what we call spiritual attacks. So these spiritual attacks are going to happen to every Christian, especially the deeper your relationship with Christ is, the more they will happen. But as you go through these spiritual attacks, you will lose every single time if you do not have trust in God. If you don't trust in God, you will absolutely be beaten down, and just like any battle with demonic forces of the devil, you're going to lose. You can't do this on your own. You got to have the greatest ally there is, and without that great ally, you're done for. Hello, Plutonium. How are you? Chad, do not be conformed to the world. Avoid all distractions. The mind is constantly being bombarded by distractions. Social media, sports, movies, video games, etc. And that's why we all become, not all of us, but we've had so many narcissists now. We have so many narcissists because we have this I want everything now society. And people aren't loving and interacting with each other. Again, parents, they just throw electronics at kids. They throw money or toys. I know one, there's a girl who, she's growing up to be a narcissist. My oldest daughter has to deal with her, but her father is abusive and is absolutely teaching her everything she needs to know about being a narcissist. And I mean, she's great at it already. She emulates him completely. Her mother moved out of the house and went to a women's shelter because, she was escaping the abuse and everything. And it's wild to see how, the origin story of a narcissist. And she's going to be a good one, man. I'm telling you, she's going to be very good. And that's very unfortunate. Job Portillo, hello. Have you had a big loss or struggle in life, like everyone? For your stream, your passionate thoughts out like this. I have, yeah, my story is, Job, I went through, I've dealt with a lot of narcissists too. Now, don't get me wrong, but my main thing was I just suffered in almost every way imaginable. I, in 2010, I had been doing a job for, working for 8 years at my job, and I got up in the morning and I could not move. My back was just completely wrecked. So I was able to finally get out of bed, and then had to go straight to the doctor, and the doctor I went to, they sent me straight to a specialist, and then I had then they sent me straight to back surgery. And during the back surgery, they nicked the sciatic nerve in my right leg, that goes from your spine to your right leg, and your left, but they nicked my right one. And so that is constant pain. I became permanently disabled. I began to spiral after that. There were deaths in my family. There were suicides of family and friends. There was constant agony and trauma and tragedy. And after, my wife had two miscarriages, and my marriage was not doing good because we were both miserable and hated our lives. Um, Finally, when my parents both got really sick, my dad had a heart attack, and while he was recovering, my mother had a stroke. Sorry, I keep hearing my hound dog. He flaps his ears when he wants something. So now I closed the gate, and now he's flapping his ears like crazy. But my mother was paralyzed, partially paralyzed from a stroke, and I just hit rock bottom. And so for the first time in my adult life, I went out into the woods, and I prayed genuinely. I had prayed just not seriously in my adult life, but this was the first time that I meant it. I didn't believe that God would intervene in my life, but I had to try, and I had a calling from him. It was evident that he was calling to me. And so I went out there, and I'll give you an example of how I recognized this calling that I'd completely forgotten about until recently. But I told God I would surrender my life to him if he would just show me a way out of my personal hell, if he would just guide me out of this. And not even 10 minutes later, I hear something running out of the woods. I was walking along the lake shore, and it was a white-tailed doe. And she came, and she stopped on the lake shore and started letting me pet her. And then she came down and walked alongside of me for over an hour, probably close to an hour and a half. And since that day, I have felt a connection to God. I haven't suffered once despite all this pain and agony in my life. Constant trauma. I mean, I'm dealing with both of my parents, my uncle, and both of my dogs, like literally probably only have at most a couple months to live right now. One of my dogs could go any day now. If I have to go downstairs, I'll show you. He's got a lipoma the size of, it's bigger than it's like this big on his leg. It's massive. So as soon as we can't do anything for him because they can't do surgery on him, so we just have to wait it out. And if that thing busts open, I don't know. That's probably going to be when I have to put him down. But that's my story in a nutshell. But let's see. Let me catch up on these. Okay. Let's see. Chad, renewal of the mind. Keep your mind and thoughts on that which is good, right, and just. Yes, Job. We are being called. Amen, Chad. It's great to see you, brother. I love you, brother, so much. Crazy Canadian 420. What are your thoughts on Tommy McGregor? Tommy McGregor, is that an MMA fighter? I'm not sure about Tommy McGregor, but oh, Nubs is back. When that happened to my mother, I went and did whatever I needed to do for her. Okay, good, Nubs. That's good. And thank you for coming on tonight. I was actually thinking about you when I did this. But okay, let's see. Job, my goodness, man, I was just coming on by maybe being judgmental at first, but I hear you, man, and I love you, man. I love my dog, and funny enough, my right back hurts from snowboarding. LOL, but God bless. You were awesome, man. Love you. I love you too, Joe. And hey, it's fine. You know, like seriously, I understand. Like we don't have a clue what's going on in anyone else's life. I've learned that. I've started judging people plenty of times before ever knowing what they've been through. And now that I've been saved and now that I've been through that agony, I try to go back to find the root of people's problems. You know, every single person that I've dealt with that lashes out at me and you know, at least people that I know, or lashes out, or they're narcissists or liars or really just awful people sometimes. They all come from abuse. They come from broken homes. They come from just awful situations. And I think that we have to walk a mile in someone's shoes before we can truly know what they're going through. You know, I mean, it's very sad that I feel awful the way that I used to judge people. I do, because I just thought I hated myself, really. I hated myself, so I would judge others, and it was wrong of me to do, and just about everything I did in life was wrong. I mean, I was making nothing but wrong decisions, which is why I was so miserable. I mean, I thought, you know, I could play the victim because I felt sorry for myself, and I was like, well, I didn't do anything to deserve this constant pain and agony. So I would just hate myself. You know, I didn't think, since it wasn't like, oh, I was a drug addict, so, you know, that's what caused all of my suffering. It was just something that I couldn't help, you know. Of course, I could go back in time and I guess not play football and lift as much heavy weights as I did and all that stuff and do like all the sports and stuff like I did. But I mean, really, the doctor told me that the cause of the biggest cause of my back problems, he said, wasn't from I used to be a power lifter and I used to play football. He said it wasn't most likely from that. But during my job, I had to drive a long period of time, and I would keep a wallet in my back pocket. So my spine would be just bent like this, and then every bump would go by, and I'm just compress and compress and compress. And so that's what I really, that's a big reason he told me that he saw for a lot of those lower spine injuries, especially because I had the two bottom discs that went out for me. Let's see here. Job, awesome story. I've prayed genuinely at a low point too. I felt the presence of God in whatever form. Yes, Job, it was absolutely amazing. And isn't it the best? Like I didn't think that God would respond to me. I thought surely a life like mine, you know, surely someone like me who hated himself, why would he even bother with my life? But that genuine humbleness and humility and that genuine repentance, and the repentance, you know, I said, I will surrender my life to you. The repentance was not I didn't really have a sin in mind. Like I wasn't thinking that way. What I repented for was my entire adult life turning away from God and turning away from everything that I knew. Even though I didn't understand, I knew right from wrong, but I didn't understand what a relationship with God was. And I was just selfish and prideful, and I was just blind, honestly. Um, Nubs, I can have a pretty good clue. We are all one at the highest level. Pain is pain. Okay. Job, I've dealt with very horrible narcissists too in a very rural area in West Virginia. And people all over the country clown the state because of the opioids and being dumb. Know all too much about it too, man. Job, I lived in, I don't know what part of West Virginia you're in, but I grew up in Winchester, Virginia, which is, just a couple minutes from, I was pretty close to the border of West Virginia, near Winchester, Virginia. So I was in West Virginia all the time. And my wife, she grew up there in the mountains, and she was, poor Appalachia, like you see on TV. Like, she had no running water. She had dirt floors in her house. Of course, with no running water, they had to go out to an outhouse and boil the water they pumped from the spring, and it was definitely a hard upbringing. And both of her parents were, addicts and alcoholics too. So, unfortunately, neither one of them are with us anymore. That was one of the big things that happened during my downward spiral. Was my father-in-law took his life, and about a month and a half after I was saved, my mother-in-law passed suddenly from a stroke. And if I had not have been saved when I was, my marriage would be over, and most likely my life, because I wouldn't have had a reason to go on. I mean, I was hanging by a thread as it was. So I just absolutely went from the rock bottom lowest, the deepest depths of hell, into the highest I've ever been. And I swear to you, this peace and this purpose, I have wisdom that I never learned. The biggest thing was I used to be scared of death and life, and I'm not scared of either of them anymore. I trust completely in God now. I do. Obviously, I'm very far from perfect. Our entire lives we're being sanctified. We're being baptized by fire. It's going to be one sin after another that we just, the difference between someone who is born again and just everyone else is the people who are born again aren't not sinners anymore. It's that we strive to do better. We strive not to be. We just strive to constantly be in a loving relationship with Christ. And that's what I've always, again, it was, of course, I say again, I haven't explained it yet, but it was a year after I was saved. I was saved in November of 2022, so about just over 2 years ago. And it took a little over a year to come to Christ. I had to go through every other religion, philosophy, spirituality. God methodically took me through these, all the main ones and a lot of the minor ones. And I didn't find any truth in them. I thought he was guiding me to some new religion that I was going to create myself. And I thought, of course, it was pride, thinking that I knew so much more than everyone, knew so much more than all the religions that have already been established. I'm like, oh yeah, I can just have my own little spirituality. and the reason for that was I wanted to have my relationship with God be convenient for my life. But again, I was serious that I was going to follow God and I was going to listen to him. So I did not, wherever he led me, I followed him, and he led me straight to the feet of Jesus Christ, where I saw how I can have a relationship with the creator of the universe, how the unknown, unseen God opens up to us through him. And that was absolutely it was the greatest experience of my life, like being saved all over again. Let's see here. Job, I'm just turning 19 and I tore my ACL my junior year from football. It's a struggle. Oh, brother, I'm sorry about that, man. Yeah, that's, when I know how it is. I was offered a couple of scholarships and I just, I went down to Georgia Southern to play, and for me, it wasn't even, it was just, I wanted to party. I just would rather go out drinking and doing drugs and having a good time when I was young. I got wrapped up in doing a lot of, I wasn't doing like real hard drugs a lot of times. Well, they were hard drugs, but they weren't, it was mainly psychedelics. I was trying to feel something more than this life. There was always this yearning to feel this spiritual side of life that I knew was there, but I just could not understand. So I thought that was the way to get to God. And it led me to some dark times for sure. But I recovered from that. I got a great job. I was doing good, providing for my family, and then came the back injury. Let's see. Job, I recovered. Just relating about injuries. Job, were you a trucker? I've been thinking about driving, to be honest. No, I wasn't a trucker. I was actually working for, well, you're in West Virginia, so you know the gas station Sheetz. They flew me down to North Carolina to it was kind of like a manager of all the contractors, but fixing gas pumps and computers for Sheetz. So sometimes I would drive literally 500-600 miles a day, and I had, I never drove a big rig, but I did have a CDL B, I think. I delivered beer for a little while before going to Sheetz, but yeah, truck driving is definitely, I've heard a lot of good things, some bad, but mostly good. I mean, it's definitely depends on who you are. If you like being out there on the road all the time, if you like being, that sense of adventure, I guess, it's definitely not for everyone, but I would have loved it when I was younger for sure. But I just never, again, I just kind of went where I went in life and never went there. Let's see here. Job, and have a good night, brother. Stay healthy. You too, brother. It's great to see you. All right, Nubs, let's see what you got to say tonight. How do you strive to be in a relationship? You are either in a relationship and put forth the effort, or you are not and can't and don't. Can you clarify that? Yes, absolutely. People call themselves Christians and do not do anything to understand Jesus Christ. They think that Christianity is absolutely just, follow a book of laws, whenever you feel like it, pretty much. Most people don't even care about the laws, commandments. Most people just don't understand that you actually have a relationship with Christ. They can't understand because, again, they don't really believe. They have these doubts, so they don't understand that you can feel him in your life. And I know, Nubs, that you don't believe that, but you don't believe that you can feel Christ. But I'm just talking to anybody else who might be listening. Jesus is so unique. Christianity is so unique because you do have that personal relationship. Like I was saying, instead of just thinking you know God, he reveals himself to you. And then every other religion, for the most part, there's some minor religions that are a little different, but every other religion is you got to do this amount of good works to go to heaven. If you do more good works than bad works, then you will go to heaven. And that's not the way it works. And that's what Christ tells us. We will never, ever have enough good works. We are corrupted to the core, and we just don't understand it. We think we are so great. We think that we are high and mighty. We think we are our own gods. And when we think that, then we just get wrapped up in ourselves, and we become narcissists and prideful. And that's exactly what drives us away from God. And until we are brought low and humbled, we do not understand what a relationship with him means. Because until we are humbled, until we are humbled, we cannot genuinely seek him. Because we can go out there, go out and pray and say, God, please come to me, or make demands of God, act like God's a genie or a spiritual ATM, and just granting us wishes, or just affirming our lifestyle, whatever we like to do. And we have to be completely rid of that. We have to basically say, enough is enough. I'm no longer going to rely on myself. I'm going to seek a higher power. And again, I was not seeking Christ. I was not seeking the Christian God. I was seeking the true nature of God, whatever he revealed to me. So I was led to Christ. I did not want to be a Christian just because of the way Christians acted. I did not want to be. I hated the hypocrisy. I hated that every Christian that would talk to me when I was struggling in my life, they said, "Oh, yeah, just trust. Jesus loves you. Jesus will save you, and Jesus will heal you." And then they pray over me, and again, it was nice. They had good intentions, but they did not understand what a relationship with Christ truly is. You see, a relationship with Christ, we also have a relationship with others. Christ calls us to take the love that he gives us and to take it out into the world and to offer it up to whoever is willing to accept it. Now, most people, they will hear you out. They will absolutely, you can have deep conversations with people. Most people are never even close to changing their life, because most people think they have a great life, even if their life is awful. Even if their life has no meaning or no purpose, they think, yeah, I have pleasures in life. I have all these pleasures, and these things make me happy, so I'm not going to change. I'm not going to sacrifice. And you absolutely do have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice in any relationship you're in. If you're not willing to sacrifice, then you do not and will not have a relationship with God. You will not. Because you are just doing whatever the hell you want, and you're saying that, God, I want to create God in my image, because I am not going to accept that I'm created in God's image. Because the world revolves around me. It's all me, me, me. It's all, as King Solomon said, everything is vanity. It's all vanity. That is the way that a narcissist thinks. That is the way that a victim personality thinks. That's the way that anyone who is too prideful thinks. Nubs, now my mouth is watering for MTO. I used to like the MTOs, man. They used to be better than what they are now, for sure. I am definitely, now I did have, what was it? The chicken Caesar wrap or something that was, the last time I was going up to Pennsylvania, that was pretty good. But I just didn't, there was nowhere else to stop. I was in the middle of nowhere. So I was like, I guess I'm stopping, settling for Sheets. I hate traveling, mainly because of the food, man. My stomach is already jacked up and getting trying to find something semi-healthy when I'm driving. is awful. Nubs, when I say I'm God, I'm not saying I am God. The creator, I am God of me exclusively through me. Will I choose my path? Okay. So how do you know what God expects of you then? A lot of service to others. And how do you know that God wants that? When did God tell you this? How do you know how do you know how to have a relationship with God? You don't believe in, I'm assuming you don't believe in any religion. You never told me because you only come on here to troll, really. But if you don't have any way to get to know God, because I get signs from God all the time, and yet it's not enough to know him intimately. Without the Bible, I would not be able to know God intimately. He gives me signs, and it is more like a riddle or a coded message that I have to unlock using not only just the Bible, but the Bible is a big part of it because it tells me so much about everything. It tells me everything I need to know about life. Every single question I have is answered in there, and it has absolutely never let me down. His life on life's terms. I see God in nature. Yeah, I see God in nature too. And again, I hear God's voice in nature. I get signs from him literally on a daily basis. In my videos, I've captured probably at least a good dozen or 2 dozen of the blatant signs that I've gotten from God. When I'm speaking about a certain thing, when I'm mentioning how I should have faith in God and the hawk screams and flies over me, when I was on my buddy's live stream and this guy who was just saying that he was possessed by demons, and then as soon as he came on, a tree fell out, or a snake fell out of the tree right in front of me as I was walking through the woods. I mean, it's nonstop signs like this that I was freezing cold the one day and talking about God not too long ago, actually. And this warm breeze, just out of nowhere, this warm breeze blew and just warmed me completely up. It was crazy. Is much like a language, your Bible is my woods. Again, I have the woods too. Creation is absolutely where I hear God's voice. But I am guided by God, and sometimes I can decipher that just from what he tells me in the woods. But most of the time, it is like I said, a coded message where I have to open the Bible and find out what he is saying to me. Christopher, hello, brother. Yeah, I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing tonight? Nubs, very good. You don't need a book. Okay, every question's answered in nature. That's good. How do you know what God expects of you? So God tells you in nature. How do you know what he's telling you to do? How do you know exactly who God is? Does God come down through nature and have a dialogue with you? Because, I mean, that's not what... He has a dialogue with me, but it is like I said, it's a coded dialogue. So I absolutely hear his messages, and they are sometimes very clear, but most of the time I have to go and find out in the Bible what he's saying to me. He says in the Bible about how we can learn from nature. He says in the book of Job how we can learn from nature. Jesus Christ escapes into the wilderness all the time. So he tells us the same thing. And that is absolutely a part of it, but that's only a small part of the relationship. The relationship with God is the most complex, and it is something that you have to basically have every single part of your life reflected in. Christopher, it's like the old saying, if we don't have any trolls, then we don't eat no rolls. No, just out of curiosity, what do you guys consider a troll like? What is your definition? Well, Nubs, sometimes you're not trolling, but usually it starts out, and I guess like probably when you're stoned or something, and then you're going wrong and doing good and engaging in conversation with everybody, and then all of a sudden, you just start putting people down. You start mocking people's comments. You start mocking Jesus. You start saying how your relationship with God is so much better than ours because you don't need no book. You don't need, that you don't need any of that because you know how dumb Christianity is because you know everything, right? Because God reveals everything to you. I'm just curious how he, answer me that. How does God reveal who he is to you? In a deeper level. I get it. He speaks to you through nature for sure. Christopher, I'm doing pretty good overall, man, and I'm glad you're well. That's great, Christopher. I'm still trying to get the setup where I can get. I've got a webcam in now. Now I got to figure out how to use it, and it's supposed to have a built-in microphone, but I'm not sure if that microphone is good enough. So I don't know if I need to get a separate microphone, and I don't know. I mean, the software I need to use for inviting people on, I don't know anything about that, so I'm gonna have to figure out all that stuff. But hopefully, I've got some people locally who can help me figure it out, like, because I'm pretty much an idiot when it comes to that kind of thing. You are well aware that this is YouTube, and YouTube is for entertainment purposes. That's why I'm here. Okay, well, literally, I'm glad you're entertained. Again, once you start coming on here to entertain yourself and start trolling and start mocking everyone in here, then I'll just block you. That's all there is. But if you're talking regular and engaging in a conversation and not mocking anyone, I don't care if you mock me. I don't really care about that. But anyone else, that's a different story. That's the difference between you and I. You need to get a decode. I have the decode. That's right, because you are the best. You are so enlightened. You know everything. So exactly explain to me. How does God reveal what he wants from you? What does God say to you, and how do you know who he is and what he wants you to do with your life? You say that he wants you to go and help people, right? How do you go and help people? Like, how do you know this? How do you know that that's what he wants you to do? I just want to know how he reveals himself to you. I'm looking forward to the day that you have a panel and we can actually have a conversation. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, Vo Devil, I was just trolling Nubs. I don't believe in God, Jesus, or Satan. I believe the Bible is make-believe. That's very good. So you deny all the evidence, just like Nubs does. You guys should get along. John Smiley, hello. Hello to you, Josh, and the good people of YouTube looking for something, hopefully truth and light. Jesus loves you all. Absolutely, John. The way and the truth and the life. No one can come to the Father except through Jesus. Christopher, I forgot. I sent you an email from my Gmail account yesterday, I think. Oh, man. Yeah, okay. That's right. I was going to invite you on. We'll try to maybe get that going tomorrow night then, Christopher. It probably went to my junk folder, which for some reason they do that. I don't know though, because I had it in the regular folder, so I don't know. It's been a very long weekend. I got about 3 hours of sleep last night. My dad brought my mom home from the nursing home, and it's not been a good scene the entire weekend. So I've been dealing with some things. Again, like I said, my both of my dogs are actually the bump on my. I got a Lab Akita mix. I got a Hound pit bull mix and a Lab Akita mix. And the Lab, he's got, man, the lipoma. It's going for Guinness Book of World Records. I mean, it is seriously huge. Maybe before I get off of here tonight, I'll take you guys down and show you that. But uh, um, you say there's no. I do, however, appreciate your honesty. I'm not a big fan of the whole idea of Jesus. No actual proof. Yeah, there's no proof that you accept. There is literal. He is the most studied person in human history. He has changed the world more than any figure ever has. We literally changed the dating around him. There is more evidence of him than anyone in antiquity, anyone by far. I mean, there is nobody even close to him. But you would think that a poor carpenter from Nazareth, how would that man have so much more written about him than Alexander the Great or Julius Caesar or Socrates and Plato and Aristotle and all of these, Genghis Khan and all of these great generals and warriors and leaders, and this humble, suffering servant from Nazareth is the one who has more accounts than anyone, and much earlier than anyone else in antiquity too. If you're going to have rules like that, it would be best if you would post them. I've told you, literally, don't start trolling the other people. Don't start calling them names. You can troll me. I mean, if you start getting annoying about it, then it's going to be, I mean, I prefer if you're going to be a troll, you be funny about it. But I mean, that's something that most trolls aren't very funny. But I appreciate a funny troll. You know, there's an art to that. It's very good. It's very funny. It's the comedic relief that I need. Christopher, sounds good on getting that set up, and you're not an idiot, man. Oh, believe me, I'm an idiot. When it comes to a lot of things, I'm an idiot for sure. There's so much to setting up panels and having people on video. It's a lot to do properly. Yeah, like Nubbs was saying earlier on StreamYard, I've looked at that, and it's like $40 a month. So I'm like, I don't make really anything off of YouTube. I mean, I'll make a couple, I might make, on a good month, I'll make like $100 in a month. But I mean, I spend hours, probably at least a good 5 to 6 hours a day just on YouTube stuff, like writing notes and like going out and maybe doing a video, and that's also time I'm going out and talking to God too. So it's not just the YouTube stuff, but then I'll do the live stream for a couple hours during the night. And yeah, I've put thousands of hours into YouTube and made maybe a couple $100 out of it. But I mean, I'm not doing it for money. I'm not saying that. I don't care if I never get paid a dime for it. But yeah, I gotta decide whether I'm gonna justify paying. And I think $40 was just a basic thing where you can only bring like a couple people on. If you want to get like a bigger panel with more people, I think you have to pay like something like anywhere from $60 to $100 a month. So that's getting a little rich for me. I know for most people that's nothing, but for me, who's living just above the poverty line, it's a little much. But I'll figure it out. I might try a trial run of it, like a free week or something. Okay, let's see. Nubs is going to explain. Take, for instance, if I see a woodpecker, I know that day is going to be filled with a lot of work, and a lot will be accomplished. And there is a characteristic of a woodpecker. How would you not know your own father? I'm pretty sure it says in Jeremiah 29:11 that he has a plan for me, or well, at least the Hebrews did. The Hebrews. Yeah, again, you don't believe in the Bible, so what do you care? But you know your own father. Paul explained this the best to the who were they? Oh man, the Greeks, the Stoics. So the Stoics, when the Apostle Paul was talking to the Stoics, he decided to bring them all to the temple of the unknown God. And that was a God that was worshipped, not really worshipped that much, but they built a temple to him, and nobody really ever went there. He was in the pantheon of Greek and Roman gods, and he was the creator of everything. But they didn't know anything about him because they couldn't, because he did not open up to them. So they absolutely just ignored him and just built that little temple and nothing else. But Paul says that is, again, you have it in almost every single religion, that unknown God, the creator, even the polytheistic religions like that. That is God, but you cannot know him except through Jesus Christ. See, Jesus Christ, the reason he came down is so we could know our Father. The Son had to come. The Father sent the Son so we could know the Father. And again, I know you deny every single bit of evidence. Again, we were talking about stuff the other night. You were asking for all kinds of non-biblical stuff, and you were absolutely, I was right and you were wrong, talking about Josephus. I said it was about 60 years after the resurrection. You laughed and said Josephus was like 200 years after LMFAO. Nope, you're wrong again. There were all kinds of outside biblical references to Jesus Christ, even early on. And James, the brother of Jesus, was a good example of someone who died and was recorded outside of the Bible, claiming that his brother was God, and God made flesh. So he didn't believe it until the resurrection, because he was one of the ones who, when Jesus went back to Nazareth, they tried to stone him. They demanded he do a sign if he was some sort of Messiah, if he was the Savior. And every time people demand a sign from God, demand a sign from, just like Jesus, Herod demanded a sign, the Pharisees demanded a sign, all kinds of people demanded signs, and he would not do them. He said, the only sign, he told the Pharisees, the only sign you will get from me is the sign of Jonah. And that means he's going to be dead for 3 days and 3 nights, just like Jonah was. People think Jonah was alive in the whale. Jonah was dead. And it wasn't a whale, it was a big fish. We don't know what it was. It was probably the Kraken or something. What was the big fish? The big water monster. Man, why can't I think of that? It's right on the tip of my tongue too. Oh well. Christopher, and on the topic tonight, my father, which I love and miss him, was probably the worst narcissist I've ever been around. It was all chasing money and every vice he could, and only cared about himself. I'm so, oh, brother, I'm so sorry, man. Like I know when you have a parent like this, it's hard. Usually, it's like 50-50 whether you start getting those traits too. And we have to understand that pride and that narcissism, it's passed down to us, and we have to be aware of it. I've had a lot of narcissists in my family, and it was split between narcissists and then people to appeasers and enablers, people who were kind of pushovers. And I was kind of the pushover for most of my life. I would try to please people, but that narcissism, it's Christians are like blood in the water for it. And I know, when you were young, I don't know how you were raised as far as your religion and everything, but I'm speaking as far as now. We are blood in the water to narcissists. And a lot of atheists, that's why you see atheists coming at Christians all the time, because here's the thing. What they like to do is come and test you, because they think if you, first of all, most Christians do not know anything about the apologetics, about the evidence, the case for Christ and the case for God. So they will come and they will mock you and shame you and belittle you. And then if you get angry at their poking and prodding, because they'll keep going in different ways until you get angry. And if you do, then they'll be like, I got you. You were supposed to be this loving, forgiving Christian and not be angered and turn the other cheek. And look at you, you're getting all mad now. And they think they're so great, and it just strokes their ego and strokes their pride. And that's why atheism and a lot of these generic spiritualities, it is a devout religion to them. It's a worship of their self. And they love to go and just try to deconstruct the faith of Christians and sometimes other religions, but mainly just Christians. But yeah, with your father, man, that was rough. Like what were some of the, was he abusive? I mean, like physically abusive, or just manipulative? Christopher, I'm sorry about that, brother. I was going to ask how the situation was going with your family. Oh, don't worry at all, brother. Yeah, it's like I said, it's been going on for so long, and if I wouldn't have been saved, I would be a wreck. But I had peace through it all. The only thing is, I don't get much sleep, because as soon as I go to sleep, I'm getting a call from my sister or my uncle or someone talking about how my dad's like, he brought my mother home against all medical advice, against the doctors. My uncles on both sides, his older brother, and me and my sister. And now he expects everyone up there in Pennsylvania with him to help out, and it's not even manageable. Even a full-time staff of people could barely deal with my mother, because her stroke made her so irritable and such a jerk, really. I don't know if you've met people who've had a stroke, and they're just, sometimes it does something to your brain where you're the ultimate narcissist. You demand everything from everyone, and you yell at everyone, put people down. It just brings out, it seems like it highlighted the worst traits you could possibly have in her. And she was an amazing woman before, a caring, loving woman. And I know that it's not her anymore, just like a dementia patient, because she has dementia from the stroke too. But it's just hard to watch for sure. Nubs, I'm glad that she is home with her family where she belongs, despite the difficulties. You will appreciate it. I guarantee you at no trolling, no bullshit, just man to man. All right, brother. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, if as soon as I get the thing set up, I'll invite you on. I'll definitely um, just don't make me regret it. No, I don't care. If I know what to expect, so if it turns to trolling, then that's fine. John, prove to me that any of you exist. Can you, Nubs? Proof is for alcohol. Yes. Christ is for believers. Bless your soul. Yeah, John, but we still have proof of Christ. We do. Not proof, we have evidence. We have amazing evidence. Amazing evidence. In fact, again, more evidence of anything in antiquity. I mean, again, anything could be possible. We could be living in a simulation. We could be living in a dream right now. It's just a weird dream you're having with, a guy with a big head talking to you on YouTube. But anything is possible. But all of the evidence we have, again, points to God, the Father, and then points to Jesus being a representative and the Son of the Father, coming down and God with us as, flesh made, God made flesh. Let's see here. Nubs, name your first-hand account witness testimony outside of the Bible. Not moving any gold posts. Never have. 60 years is not first-hand account. That is the closest that I have personally found. You said it was 200 years though, Nubs, and that is not the closest. The Apostle Paul is absolutely before that. He claimed 500 witnesses. He knew the Gospels absolutely at the time. He quoted the Gospels. He talked about the communion and everything. So he knew all of the rituals and the Gospels. And it was clear that he was, with the other disciples, the apostles. Again, you went outside the Bible. The best first-hand account witness who literally died, claiming that Jesus Christ was Lord, was James, the brother of Jesus. Not either of the Jameses that were apostles or disciples. Talking James, the brother of Jesus. So, you can believe what you want. You constantly ask for evidence outside of the Bible. I don't know why, because the Bible is not one book. It is from a ton of different authors, and they all have different accounts. They absolutely do not contradict each other, despite what a lot of atheists say. They try to nitpick and find things like the death of Judas and things like that, but it does not contradict it. Christopher, definitely been doing the good work, brother. Agreed, 100%. It's not about money, but helping people and spreading the word. Absolutely. Nubs, I'm the funniest troll that you have. Just ask. I will tell you. Absolutely, you are definitely the funniest, Nubs. I also show up more than your regulars. That you do. And I appreciate you, Nubs. I really do. I mean, it's just like I said, I am on here to help people. I understand that to you it's a big joke and you want to come on here to mock people and laugh at people. But for me, I'm on here to help people because of the experiences I went through. That is what God called me to, for sure. Christopher, I appreciate it, man. It's okay because it sucked going through that as his son, but God wanted me to see that and learn from it as his son as well. Yes, every single trial is a lesson, brother. That's absolutely right. And that's the best way to look at it. You know, and you might look back and think, because with a narcissist, it's hard to tell if they really loved you or because they just love themselves so much and they're all about themselves that you can't tell whether they loved you. But I guarantee you, brother, that, that we don't have to worry about the love and acceptance, even of our parents, for sure. And I'm sure he did love you in his own way. It's just hard for a narcissist to show it. But it's not easy, brother. I know. And they manipulate you and they, the good ones. I mean, some of them aren't very good at it, but most of them have, it's all they do is train at being a good narcissist. They find ways to absolutely just get what they want from anyone. Again, they seek out people like Christians or people like very nice people, the people who want to help others, who have this desire to make everyone happy. And usually these people who have this desire to make everyone else happy, like I used to, it's because I did not love myself. And I thought, I have no self-worth, so I am going to try to make people's lives a little bit better. I would usually do that by, I would be kind and everything when I was younger, for sure. But I would try to do that with humor. And, we talked about this, Christopher. It's kind of paralleled there. But yeah, I know my great grandmother was a she was bipolar, and I've got someone else in my family I'm not going to mention, but who is like that too, a little bit closer. But man, I tell you, horrible narcissists. And I saw the way my grandfather was just, his entire life was altered because of this. I mean, as it is, our parents are the ones who teach us almost everything until we go out into the world and start learning ourselves. But we still, even if they're bad parents, we still take most of our experience and have most of our experience because of our parents. Chris, my father was sometimes physically abusive, but but most of it was verbal, emotional abuse, and it would always be scheming to work one against the other, or he would sit in church with a calculator, an actual calculator, and just brainstorm different numbers from possible business investments. Oh wow, yeah, the old I'm a Christian because I want to get the business just get those business links and stuff, get those contacts. I know there's a lot of people like that in the churches, man. I went to a very wealthy church over not too far from me, and a great pastor there, but man, the people there, they were a lot like that. They were there to connect with others as far as like business deals and stuff like that. It wasn't about the relationship with God. It was more about money. They worship money, and they worship them. Narcissists worship themselves, and they worship the money because they think that they are that money should be theirs because they are so much better than everyone, and they deserve it more than anyone. And they will actually manipulate and trick people out of their money to get it. And again, they are owed that. That's what they think. John Smiley, I appreciate the evidence. Proof seekers bug me. That being said, I'm a truth seeker. However, I believe in God, and I'm revisiting and renewing my faith in Christ at 38 years old. That is amazing, John. He has woken me up and saved me one too many times to ignore. Grace and glory to God through Jesus Christ. Oh man, the calling is amazing. And I, okay, so I wanted to tell this quick story. I'll probably do a regular video about it because I was reminded of it the other day. So about, it was a little over a month before I was saved. I started to feel for a couple of years before, really, I'd started to feel him in my life. It started when I was walking through the woods in the same area that I was saved, and I kicked over a rock and saw a big garnet shining there, and that got me into rock hounding, and that was the first really thing that gave me purpose since I'd been disabled. Which rock hounding when you have a bad back is not a great idea, but I didn't care about the pain from it because I loved being out there in the woods. But so I was out in the woods all the time. And there's this one place that I go walking, not really to look for the rocks, but I got in this routine of always being out in the woods every single day because I could feel God out there. I just didn't understand it yet. I could feel something beckoning to me, and I just needed to be out in the woods. In this one place, I was going there, and my wife called me up and she said I had to go pick up the girls at school that day because she was like running really late at work or had an emergency or something. And so I was like, okay, I was just going to go walking at my spot anyway. So I went and picked the girls up. And then I hear this story. The exact place at the exact time where I would have been, this crazy kid goes out there with I think it was an AK, and he walked down that trail exactly where I went. And at the end of this one trail is a neighborhood, and he went and just started mowing people down left and right. I would have almost definitely encountered him because I would have been there exactly the same time. And I guarantee you, if he was just mowing people down like that, I would not be here. And God, again, I was like, oh, that sucks. I got to go pick up the girls today, but whatever, it's not a big deal. I got my walk in yesterday. That kind of thing. It's wild when you feel his calling in such different ways, and without even understanding, it kind of made me start. I think that's what one of the things, because that was also right after my mother's stroke, so I was already like feeling pretty down, and I swear to you, I started feeling that calling and that beckoning from him, which it's crazy. But yeah, the proof of Christ is absolutely. I think it's important to know, just not because it's important for your faith, but I don't think that for most people, blind faith is not good, but you still have to have the faith. So if you have just blind faith, then that is blind obedience to God. And God doesn't want that. God wants you to have an open relationship with him, to love him, and not blindly be obedient, I think. For me, that's the way he's called me, for sure. Let's see, Christopher, on the lying end of things, I fell hard into that. I would lie about stupid things like have you seen that new movie? I would just lie even if I hadn't seen it and say yes, I'd seen it. It's so easy. Yes, to fall into lying without the love and strength of the Father. Yeah, that is absolutely. Narcissists, and again, you were a victim of a narcissist, so it would have affected you for sure. You start lying about things for no reason. And I would make up lies too for no reason. That was, just, I wasn't quite the narcissist, but I was a victim of other narcissists for sure. Close narcissists in my life that, like I said, I'm not going to really say because they might at one point watch this. So I don't really want to talk about them too much, but absolutely, it is one of the main characteristics of a narcissist. Just they get caught up in every single lie, and then that is what your father taught you. So it just rubbed off on you. And listen, man, we all have this dirty laundry that we've got to get washed. We got to get sanctified through Jesus Christ. And it's that baptism by fire. It burns those sins away. It purifies us. And it's not an easy process. And it's definitely always a work in progress. But it is beautiful once you start to see who you truly are without all of that corruption, right? Without the darkness that your father or the other narcissist brought into your life. Agreed, the manipulation and draining are terrible, and dealing with narcissists. It almost felt to me growing up with my father that he wasn't human, but something else. Yeah, because I agree with you with that, brother. It seems like it's demonic, isn't it? I think in a way it is, because again, I don't know, and I'm sure it's different in different situations, what drives people to become narcissists. But again, the girl who's bullying my oldest daughter, she is absolutely already at, I think she's 10 years old, maybe 11 now. She's already a master at narcissist. I mean, she has my daughter wrapped around her little finger, and my daughter's terrified to stand up to her. And it is so sad to see, because my daughter, I tell her, like, okay, you got to be loving, but you have to stand up for yourself, or she's never going to stop. And so my daughter, she tried to stand up to her, not being mean, but being nice. And of course, she didn't understand that you have to keep it up. It's a battle of patience, because a good narcissist will wait you out. And if you stand up to them, the first thing they'll do is turn it back on you. They'll make you feel bad, like you're supposed to be a good friend to me. What are you doing being mean to me? When they've been literally being a jackass to you for years, or however long it's been. So it's emotional abuse that is, it's awful and so traumatic. And it takes, it takes God to purify us of it. And I know some people go to therapy for years to try to work through their problems, but no therapy is going to help you. Only God will get to the root of your problem, because God opens who you truly are. He opens your soul and shows you who you're supposed to be. And we're not supposed to be that broken, corrupt person. We're supposed to be something other. We're not citizens of this world. We are citizens of heaven. And when you start seeing who you're supposed to be, and then you start trying to figure out how that person fits into a fallen world like the world we're in, it's a struggle still, but it's so much easier. It really is. This guy is wild, praise he. Okay, Johnny Depp. John Smiley, I appreciate you sharing that story. Thank you. Absolutely, brother. I appreciate you coming on here too, and hopefully, like I said, if you want to come on, any of you, especially the that have the blue wrench of power, are definitely welcome to come on whenever I do get at least somewhat of a panel. I don't know if it's going to just be one or two people at a time, but for sure, if you guys want to come on and talk, that'd be great. Johnny Depp, you people are weird. Yes, yes, I am weird for sure. Love you too. Love you too, Johnny Depp. Christopher, yeah, brother, I totally agree. The narcissism always seemed to me to be demonic. I could always feel that evil presence around my father. Yeah, and it's like they're possessed. And it's like they can't help but to, but to lie all the time, but to always just want for themselves, because that's what demons do, right? Demons are just monsters, and they want total control, and that's exactly what narcissists do. And especially as a Christian, now that we're actual adult Christians, and we're coming back to Christ, we start to see how that we have a vulnerability in a way that opens ourselves up to narcissists. But yet, I think that that's a very elementary view of Christianity, and young Christians will fall into this too, because young Christians just don't understand yet, and it's not their fault. But you will probably get taught a lesson dealing with a narcissist who comes at you over and over again and just makes your life miserable for a little while, until you learn, hey, me being loving and compassionate to others does not mean enabling people like narcissists. When people act like this, we have to learn different ways to deal with them. And really the best way to deal with them, obviously you have God on your side, and that's the most important thing, but you have to hold a mirror up to them, and you have to just turn it all back around on them. Start asking them the questions. Is this how you think a friend should treat another friend? Why would you think, if someone treated you this way, how would you feel? Or they will always try to twist it back around on you, but you must find ways to help them self-reflect. It's not going to fix them. We always want to fix people. I was the type of person, I always wanted to fix people. And I would always date all these broken girls and women. It was not a happy story most of the time, because most people, they don't want to be fixed, or somebody who definitely didn't have his own shit together is not going to be able to help anyone else fix theirs, for sure. So again, as a Christian, you must understand human psychology, and you must understand how to interact with people, because people are going to test your faith in different ways. And maybe they're demonic. Maybe it is a spiritual warfare, and that armor of God is what we need to strap on that armor no matter what. And I do think that narcissists do have, I'm not saying they're all demonic, but they do have that demon adjacent ness, at least. Christopher, I'd love to come on and talk ASAP, brother. Sounds great. Yeah, let's try to. Maybe we can set it up for tomorrow, if you want to. Christopher, like I said, wait, didn't you say? Do you get off of work right before this, Christopher? I can't remember if that was you or someone else telling me that, but Yeah, we'll try to set it up to where whenever you do get off, then I will, whenever I start the thing, I'll just get the contact. I'll send it to your email, and then we can you can just link up whenever you get a chance. Then, uh, John Smiley, I'm currently on no contact with the narcissistic people in my life. I'm worth more than the way they make me feel. Yes, you are. And you know what? Good for you, because they will make you feel like if you shun them, if you break contact with them, they will often make you feel like you are letting them down. How dare you call yourself a Christian and act like that to me? You're supposed to be loving. Again, this is what atheist narcissists do a lot. And a lot of atheists are narcissists, because it is absolutely a trait to worship yourself and be a narcissist. And that, again, that's an atheist. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So atheists will come at you and just be like, they will test every single defense you have. And no matter how much proof, I shouldn't say proof, how much evidence of God and Christ that we have, again, like Nubs was saying, like, you don't have any evidence, you don't have any eyewitnesses, firsthand account witnesses. Yes, we do. We have, 4 or 5 in the Bible? Let's see, it was John, James, Peter, Matthew, Jude, I believe, claimed to be a witness of the resurrected Christ. And then again, you don't, Paul, I guess, not directly, but he saw the spiritual or the divine form of Jesus. And then we have James, the brother of Jesus, who he died saying that his brother was the Son of God. He was he was God made flesh. So they will come at you and just nonstop throw lies at you. And they will find some truth in them too, to make it. I remember, so I think we talked about this a little bit last time, but this Christian apologist named Wes Huff went on Joe Rogan. Christopher, I think we talked about it. I know we did. And there was an atheist, Alex O'Connor, who did a rebuttal on that of everything that Wes said. They were just having a discussion; they weren't having a debate. But he had to go on and say how everything was wrong. And at one point, Wes Huff said that the book of Isaiah that they found in the Dead Sea Scrolls was 1,000 years before the book of Isaiah that they currently had at the time, which was, I think they found the Dead Sea Scrolls 50, 60 years ago or something. And the most recent book of Isaiah was from the 1300s or something. So this was back before the time of Christ. This was 200 or 300 years before Christ. So 2,300 years ago. So 1,000 years before that. And Wes Huff said that it's almost word for word identical to the one that we had the 1,000 year before that. And Alex O'Connor had to say, this is not right. There are over 2,000 variants of this. And it comes to find out, the 2,000 and something variants, the only legitimate thing that they said they had was a part of it, like verse 9 and 10 were missing. And then the words were spelled differently. So let's think about that. So let's go back to the time of our founding fathers, right? So 200 years ago, a little over 200 years ago, and 250 years ago probably. And look at how they spelt words in the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. I mean, they used, I think they put F's for S's and things like that, and the words were like, using like old King James versions of stuff and things like that. It was absolutely almost a different language. So of course there's going to be different spellings of words, but the words were the same. And the words were, not exactly the same. They weren't spelled exactly the same, but it wasn't good enough. So Alex O'Connor had to go on there and with his snooty British accent, no, this is not right. Like, this is what atheists do. They will absolutely nitpick at every single little thing and then make it seem like, make a mountain out of a molehill is what they do. Christopher, I did the same thing, tried to fix women, and I was beyond the nicest guy. So that definitely made me a mark. Yep. LOL. It was rough, many relationships that I shouldn't have got into in the first place. Yes, it's that thing we feel like, probably because you growing up with your father, you felt like you had to fix people because you grew up appeasing your father because you knew if you didn't act a certain way and that kind of be a pushover and trying to please them, then he would come after you, and you just wanted to avoid that at all costs. So that's probably where that whole I know it's a little bit of where mine came from. Christopher, tomorrow should work because I'm getting off at 10 instead of midnight, so it should be fine. It should work fine on time frame since they changed my schedule. That's great, brother. That's awesome. Well, let's set it up then. I will. I can't send you the link until I actually am about to go on there and start it up. But again, I will. What I'll do is I will. I'll set up like the beginning of the live stream. I'll get the link. I'll send it to you by email real quick, and then whenever you get a chance to come on, you just pop on then, so we can go ahead and talk. And again, anybody else? I mean, John, I don't know if you're interested in that, or if anybody else listening is interested in coming on to talk. Let me know, and whenever Christopher is done, I can have you on, or we can set up a time for you to come on, and I really just want to, again, my whole reason for doing the live streams especially is just to hear what's happening in your life. I learn so much from you guys because I'm still a young Christian too. John, how long have you been going back with Christ, like being drawn back to Christ? Because I think for me, it's been like maybe around 10 months, maybe not even 10 months. So I remember I came back to Christ right before Good Friday of last year. So yeah, which was in March, I believe. So yeah, it's about 9 months actually. Let's see. Sounds good, man. Hopefully it will all come together. I'm looking forward to it. Absolutely too, man. I'm looking forward to talking to you, brother. John, I like that my comments are acknowledged and read and answered, but I don't care to be on screen. I don't blame you at all for that either, man. I don't blame you at all for that at all. Oh man, good question. Real recent for me. Yeah. It was like I had to like think about it for a while because I always go by when I was saved by God, which obviously my testimony would, but that I didn't come back to Christ for then. But I remember it hitting me like God finally led me right to Jesus Christ's feet right before Good Friday of last year. And then like, I was like, I told my wife, we got to go to church. We got to go to church this Good Friday. And man, it's been nonstop ever since. I've been just devouring the Bible, like just reading every chance that I could. I mean, studying
8 to 16 hours a day sometimes. Like it's been wild, but I have this desire to know him, and knowing him, as I was saying to Nubs, it was like, yeah, you can know him somewhat through nature and through his creation, but you can only know a tiny, tiny little part. Because with me, as much as I thought that I knew him through nature, when he led me to the Bible, and the fact that I couldn't understand the Bible until I was saved, like it was, I've told you guys it was gibberish to me. Like I would read it and it was like the monkey symbols in my head, like Homer Simpson. It was like that every time I would read it, and then all of a sudden it just opened up, and it was like Jesus Christ opening up to me and said, now you are finally here with me. And it has been the most beautiful thing in my life by far. Christopher, I learned a lot from you too, brother. And for me, it's been about 7 years, maybe longer, since I started my journey with God. That's great, brother. And let me ask you, did you come straight to Christ, or did you start like with just kind of like I did with just like generic spirituality, like, I feel God beckoning me, and I could tell that it was God. John, I prayed several times for him to take away my nicotine addiction, but it wouldn't take until I realized he wanted a sacrifice. Yeah, that's the thing. We have to make those sacrifices. Yeah, my nicotine addiction, unfortunately, I haven't had the will to get rid of mine. That's one of the things I've been clinging to. And we all have them. I know we do. But nicotine is one of mine. And obviously food, you can see that. But, thankfully, I'm usually pretty good on the diet, but it's right after the holidays. So I'm not showing that yet. But I promise you, I'm going to go on a diet soon. That's the next thing I'm working on. And then I'm hoping I'll have that desire to quit the nicotine. John, I went to church last week for the first time in 8 years, and I'm a week clean today. Oh, that is wonderful, brother. Yes, that is amazing. Yeah, you see, it is a sacrifice. That's what we have to sacrifice. A lot of times it is our ego, our will, our pride at the altar. It used to be that we had to sacrifice, animals before Christ, and Christ was the sacrifice for us. But we do have to have a death, because Christ calls us to be born again, and that requires a sacrifice and a death, which it is a spiritual death. It is the death of the ego, the death of the will. I love that Homer Simpson reference. It's all I can think of, because, I just was like, man, I'm trying to explain how I felt when I used to try to read the Bible. And that's the only thing I can think of, is just Homer with that blank stare and just the monkey with the symbols. Christopher, I started with a lot of looking into spirituality and trying to find the meaning of life, plus a lot of drinking and drugs to become enlightened, or thoughts. You thought, yeah, me too. LOL. It actually started with me through conspiracy videos and information that led me into the dark side of things, and then led me into the true light. That's how it was with me too. It was, in fact, even when I was first saved, I was like, not as much as I used to or anything, but I was kind of like really curious again about psychedelics and things too. And man, I was smoking pot like a chimney, man. Like, I'm telling you, during COVID, it was every single day I would be there popping like these strong edibles. And then, like, of course, like in the evening when they would wear off, just smoking. And I'm like, as long as we're locked, I just thought it was who I was, like I I'd smoked weed for so long, and I again, I still have to do a little bit of it for my pain, but I did it to escape then. But I did get that spiritual, connection a little bit, and it was dark at times, but I think with I've heard Joe Rogan say this before, like he talks about he's done every single psychedelic I think in the world, and he talks about the difference between taking like an edible because that's a psychedelic too, an edible, the THC, and taking like mushrooms or LSD or something. And he says that on an edible, you're gonna know you're gonna have to confront every single demon you have, like every single bit of paranoia you have, every single everything. And it's true. Like I felt like I deserved to feel that way at times, and I wanted to be a man and conquer it, So that's why I would take like these strong edibles, and I'm a kind of even though I've been doing it since I was 15, I'm still a lightweight for some reason. I could drink like a fish, but when it came to edibles, for some reason, I could smoke like all day, not really bother me. But when it came to edibles, it would be like, man, it was just something about it is messed with my head. I know it's completely different than smoking, but Christopher, and it definitely is a spiritual death when you are truly reborn. And for me, all my friends and acquaintances noticed a change. Ironically, a lot of them told me it was like I was dead inside. Well, the way I perceived me and my energy, if that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Like, so you were dead inside. They were saying you were dead inside, like when you were like first, um, when you were first finding your spirituality, or when you were like going and exploring the dark side of it. Uh, the way that perceived me and my energy. Yeah, I agree. Rogan seems to be correct on edibles, and very, very true. And I would chase the largest milligrams content. The highest was 4,000 milligrams, which is ridiculous. Wow. Wow, man. Yeah, that's champion level right there for sure. I was definitely not anywhere near that. Like I had a friend who would do like those crazy type of levels, but I was like, no, man. I would be on my couch probably peeing myself. Um, I just I know this is like it's about edibles, but it's a little off topic. But my it was really one of the first times I ever took edibles because I smoked a lot when I was younger, but I never like we never made brownies or anything. And the first time I made brownies, my wife and my friend and I went to an Australian Pink Floyd show in Durham, North Carolina. And so me and my friend ate. We all ate one brownie, and we drove over there. And my friend and I were like, "Man, we don't feel anything. What is this? This is not working at all." So we ate two more because we're both big guys. We're like, we ate two more. My wife was like, "I think I'm good with that." We get into the theater and like we're all so high, it was ridiculous. My wife was in the fetal position, rocking back and forth because they made you wait to go into your seats. And like this lady came up to me and she said, "Is she all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, she had a brownie and it's not." She's like, "Oh, okay." And like I swear to you, every time I would do those heavy amounts of the edibles, my legs would go numb. Like it would like be like a warm, numb feeling in my legs. So I would always think that I was peeing myself. And that would completely ruin like any fun that I was having. because I would be like back and forth to the bathroom, back and forth to the bathroom. Then two little drips would come out, back and forth to the bathroom. It was ridiculous. That's what ruined it for me, and that's why I was like, I gotta watch how many milligrams I'm taking here, because if I get to the point where my legs are going numb, then it's no fun anymore. Christopher, yeah, right. When I was coming to God in the early stages, a lot of my friends, family, and acquaintances slowly disappeared and seemed put off by my salvation. Yes, I know, of course, that's part of it. And God removes people from our path and puts the right ones in our path. LOL. Dude, okay. Read, let me see. If you get a chance, I know you might have read it before, I'm sure, but read Luke. Where is it? Luke chapter 4, starting at 4:16, and then all the way down to. Got to change the page, and these pages stick together. 16 through 30, and it talks about Jesus going back to Nazareth. I think I've talked about it on here before, but Jesus goes back to his hometown, and they absolutely just mock him and ridicule him. And of course, when he says he's there, he reads a part of the prophecies of Isaiah, and he says that prophecy has been fulfilled within me. And they basically were like, what? Like they were like, basically going to stone him to death, just like the Pharisees always tried to do. They hated him because of it. And he says, there is no prophet acceptable in his hometown or among his relatives. And I think about that every single time I am dealing with my parents or my sister or any of my family or friends from a long time ago. And I have to understand that they can't understand what it means to be born again. They didn't go through the change I did. And it's not my job. I don't have to, I'm not responsible for any of their salvation. I have to, show them God's love, the grace and the love that he showed me. But even if, like, let's say God made you a prophet and like it's undeniable, you're there doing miracles and stuff. Like the Apostle Paul was, healing people, just by touching them through the faith of Jesus Christ. Your friends and family would still be like, no, man, what's wrong with you? Come on, this isn't you. I know who you are. I remember you when you were a little drunk, you were a little drunk in your teens and 20s and doing all these drugs and messing around. And that is just absolutely incredible that even Jesus went through that. So it's wild that every single problem 2,000 years later, we are still encountering, and he is still answering for us. And this one book that just opens up completely to it. It is wild. Let's see here. Where was I here? Okay. LOL, I feel that I had that same, I have to pee feeling. It sucked. Yeah, it does, man. It was all about my legs being like numb and warm at the same time. So I was like, is there pee coming down my legs? Because that would be the most embarrassing thing ever. And then, of course, when you're like, because you are tripping out when you're eating that many milligrams of edibles, which who knows how much I had that night, but because it was just homemade brownies. But yeah, it's not a pleasant feeling like like you want though. I've read it, but it's been a while, and I will read it again for sure. Yeah, just I had a brother. I'm not sure if you ever met TJ or watched one of his videos that TJ tells the truth, Christopher. But he went through a really hard time, and his mother was like, she's an alcoholic, and she got out of a rehab and came home, and like he had been like basically homeless before this and was going and living in his mother's apartment, and then she came home and would just mock him and shame him and say you're not some holy man, and like just put him down for his faith in God, and that's what a lot of people who are perishing do. As the Apostle Paul says, the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, to those who are being saved it is the power of God. And I just said I kept reminding him of that even Jesus was not taken seriously by his obviously Mary and Joseph knew, but all his other relatives, his brother James, I just mentioned him earlier, he did not believe in the divinity of Jesus Christ until after he died and came back from the dead. And then he actually believed in him. He was willing to die for that belief. But everybody in Nazareth was like, no, I remember you, you dumb little kid. You're not the Messiah. I'm going to stone you now, man. You better run. So they had to get out of there. Uh, uh, it's so hard to explain being born again because it's an individual journey, and we try as hard as we can to bring them to God. But I understand why they don't believe us, but we press on. Yes, it's impossible to see. When I saw people who were very devout and spiritual, I would respect the ones that were actually, because it's hard to tell when you aren't born again yourself who was genuinely, but you can definitely tell by their fruits. Obviously, when you are born again, you can see the Holy Spirit working in other people for sure. But when I was perishing myself, man, everybody would come up to me saying, Jesus saves, Jesus loves you. I'd be like, get the hell out of here. I've been suffering for 13 years, and all you have to say to me is, oh, you just got to trust in God. You just got to, Jesus will save you. And I would get mad about it. And that's what we have to understand, that when people are stuck in their own personal hell, which even if it seems like they're not, if they're separated from God, if they don't have a relationship with God, they are in their own personal hell. That is literally the definition of hell, is being separated from God. So when they're in their own hell, just like the narcissists, all they want to do is to drag you down with them. They want nothing more. They don't want to leave their own hell because they chose to be there. That's where they're most comfortable. And they see the illusion the devil gives them of this beautiful paradise that has all these pleasures, that even if it's like, they're living in a, junkyard with nothing, but they still have that bottle or those drugs that make them happy. And that's all they see, is the pleasure they get from whatever it is they use to escape. And they want you to come down to that hell with them and burn with them. And if you try to get them out of that hell, sometimes they lash out at you. They do. They're vicious. It's like Lord of the Rings with Gollum or something. They my precious. I'm not a very good Gollum, but you know what I'm saying, though. I actually watched some of TJ's channel. He definitely went through hellish things for sure. Yeah, Christopher, it's rough what he went through, and I feel bad because I think he lost a lot of listeners because he was kind of going crazy for a while, and I'm telling you, like I said, we need to always put ourselves in their shoes, because he was going through such a hard time. And unless you're a caretaker for someone who is, because his mom had dementia too, but she was also an alcoholic, so it would make it even worse. And unless you are caring for someone who has dementia, who needs 24/7 care, and who still is legally allowed to make their own decisions, so they are allowed to go and do whatever the hell they want in life, then you don't understand how hard it is. I saw maybe the most devout Christian I think I've ever met. She cared for her mother-in-law who'd had a stroke, and again, it did the same thing it did to my mom. It just made her an asshole. That's what me and my sister said. I was like, somehow, it turned my mom into the nicest woman to an asshole. Like a switch was just flipped. And so the same thing happened with my this woman's mother-in-law, and she spent about 6 months there taking care of her. And she said she flipped her lid. She said she lost her mind. At one point, like her mother-in-law was trying to get like into the bathroom, and then like she had like one of her dirty diapers or something, and like she was trying to pass her, and I guess her husband came in, and like they lived like an hour away, so her husband came over to visit. And her husband just came in and saw that she was like trying to get past it, and started yelling at his wife, like, "What are you doing? What are you doing to her?" And she's like, "What do you mean? What am I doing to her?" And she said she took the dirty diaper and threw it right at her husband's face. I mean, it sounds funny, but you go crazy. You go absolutely crazy. And my sister is bipolar, and she's been dealing with my mom for over 2 years, and she's finally getting to the end of her rope. But I'm actually impressed that she's lasted as long as she has. But TJ, he went through some definite trials and tribulations. So I hope that he is, I've been talking to him a little bit, but he is getting back into it, I think. And, he said when he gets in that kind of place, at first he was going a little crazy, and then he just shut down and just isolated himself, which I understand, because that's what I used to do too when I was basically I isolated myself all the time for 13 years. Fo, hello. I saw you yesterday by Market Pizza. By Market Pizza? What? Oh, Jaco, hello. How are you, brother? By Market Pizza. I don't know what that means. Christopher, what is that reference to, Fo? I'm just curious, because somebody used to come on here saying I looked like this guy Queso, and I told my kids that, because I'd never even heard of the guy, but my kids apparently had like watched like a couple videos of his Quesos, and they were like laughing about it, and so I would just tell them about it every time the guy would come on and call me Queso's twin or brother or whatever. I kind of did look like him a little bit when they showed me a picture finally. Christopher, it just seems to me, and I'm sure you might agree with this, that you have to go beyond rock bottom and truly open up to God. Yes, I'm sure that it's not like that every time, but it's a lot of time though. Yes, you have to be, rock bottom is pretty much, you got to at least get close to there, because I don't trust anyone. Well, I don't usually see or sense the Holy Spirit working in people unless they've been through the ringer like crazy, unless they've hit that rock bottom. And then, like you said, a lot of times gone below it. Because I hit rock bottom when I was first disabled, and then I was in denial for a while, and then I was, worried about keeping a roof over my wife and kids' head for a while, and dealing with the deaths and the people unaliving themselves, and then the miscarriages, and the poverty was getting worse and worse as time went on. The cars were breaking down. All my cats dying off. We had 3 cats, and they just died off within a year of each other, and it was, man, it was spiritual attack after spiritual attack, and I was so stubborn and so just holding on, just clinging on, and I could not see any other option until I think, like I said, God, He saved me from, I would have been mowed down almost definitely. It was almost definitely, because I would have been walking right where this guy was with a gun, and it would have been at the exact same time. And this is like not a busy place. It would have just been me and him. And I guarantee you, if he would have saw me, if he would have known I saw him with a gun and he's going to mow people down, he would have shot me first. So God just literally changing the plans, with some emergency that my wife couldn't go pick up the kids that day. I started to kind of take God a little bit more seriously. And that's when I was like, okay, maybe I don't have maybe I'm not 99.9% unsure that He's not going to intervene in my life. Maybe there's a little bit more hope than that. And I went out there, and as you know, the rest of the story. But Christopher, to truly come out of your own personal hell, we have to give our lives to Jesus Christ. There is no other way. Absolutely. It's repentance. It is. And again, even though I was not a Christian yet, I still, because I recorded quite a few videos before I even came back to Christ fully. And I would always say, I love Christ, and I would call myself a Christian, not knowing what that truly meant, though. And not until, again, because I thought that I knew what it meant. So once I realized, and once God led me to Jesus Christ and had that full revelation of Him, then it was like, yeah, I realized I had repented, and that was what opened me up to God, opened God up to me. He was waiting for me to finally repent for the life that I'd been living, that life that was separate from Him. And me saying, I will surrender to you if you just show me, some way out of this hell. That was my repentance. As John was saying, you have to have a sacrifice. You have to have a death in life. I isolated myself also, and has anxiety like you, brother. Even going to the grocery store was a nightmare. Yeah, it was bad. Market Street Pizza. You were in a white SUV sitting shotgun. Market Street Pizza. I don't know where that even is. Jaco, doing fine, my friend. Missed the last live, and was upset, but glad to catch you tonight. Sad night yesterday for your Steelers, though. Yeah, I know it, brother. Yeah, it was embarrassing for sure. It was pretty embarrassing. Angela, my beautiful sister in Christ, how are you tonight? Well, it's late for you. You having a late one? I know it's hard to get on a good sleep schedule, but hopefully it's not something else keeping you up. But it's wonderful to see you. I'm actually just wrapping up here because my back's telling me it's time. But it's wonderful to see you, and I'm trying to push them a little bit earlier, Angela. I'm getting them earlier and earlier, but I'm hoping to get down to start at maybe 11 and maybe sometimes 10:30, but probably 11 is probably going to be the earliest I can push it, because my daughter, man, she fights going to sleep. And she'll come and mess with me if she's still awake when I start this. Christopher, I feel that, man, because you're right. When your spiritual attacks pick up to a level of what you went through, and I have been through different, but just as painful, to the point where it about destroyed me before I came to Christ. Yeah, and yeah, you have to be you have to be broken, as I said, and that brokenness, I truly believe that our life, it falls to pieces, and it has to do that because God picks those pieces up and he puts them together exactly how they were meant to be. I really truly believe that. And we have to let go. We have to surrender. If we don't surrender, then we are still clinging and holding ourselves together that wrong way. You know, I want to look into it more, but the story of when Jesus healed the blind man, and not the one that was by the pool, but he healed a blind man, and then he was seeing everything wrong, like he was seeing every person as a tree. So Jesus had to go back and start again. And I truly believe that's a beautiful story too, that has so much more. And I want to kind of dig into that more, because it's not some perfect thing. And the people who make it seem like it's some perfect salvation or perfect redemption, it is, in my experience, I've never seen some even close to perfect redemption. It is down in the dirt. It is grimy. It is dirty, but you have to go through hell to get to heaven, and you're slithering around like a snake in the mud, or like a pig in the filth, and then you are brought to the greatest, the most wonderful gift you can possibly imagine, of that amazing grace that saves a wretch like me. Angela, God bless you all. I pray you all are climbing to higher ground with Jesus. Absolutely, Angela. And I, as I was telling Christopher and John earlier, I learned so much from you all, and sometimes I feel like I'm gaining more from this than you guys are from me, in certain subjects at least. But I really do think that, as they say, iron sharpens iron, and we do need to have other strong Christians around, and not, that's why churches are important. And I talked to somebody the other day, and they said that they had another bad experience at a church they went to, and it really upsets me that so many churches are just going the way of the church of Laodicea, in Revelations, where they're just this lukewarm, and Jesus said I'll vomit you out of my mouth. I'd rather you be hot or cold, but you're lukewarm, and I will vomit you out of my mouth. And I think that too many churches are of the world today. We need to. One of the best, one of the most devout Christian women I've seen, the one I was talking about earlier that threw the diaper at her husband's face, that was a very good introduction of it. I mean, she is absolutely like a wonderful Christian. But she goes over to Moldova. She went there on a missions trip. And she's thinking of actually moving there, because she said that the American Christians, they do not understand, that we're all over there. They're meeting at each other's houses. They're in communion all the time, and they're really such a strong, close community. And over here, it's just like, she goes to that church that I said was a bunch of rich people who were just in it for business connections and all this stuff. And she said, she's part of the church leadership. And she goes, she goes to those meetings and it's just disgusting. You go over there and you see true faith and true struggle, and overcoming that struggle through the faith. And over here, it's a bunch of elite people who are so pampered and so, we just expect everything all the time, and it's easy believism and all this stuff. And I understand that is my complaint too with the churches, and I absolutely agree. But I think that also, though, we have to find, Angela, like a church like you go to, like one of the Anabaptist churches, or one of the more serious churches. They were serious about their relationship. Angela, yes, I got up and couldn't go back to sleep, so I thought I'd check in on you, Night Owls. I'm doing well, just trying to stay faithful. Things aren't always easy, but God, who is rich in mercy. Amen. Well, I'm sorry your sleep was interrupted, but I'm always so joyed to see you for sure. Christopher, amen. Well said, brother. That's why God brought us all together, even Nubs. There still is hope yet. Yeah, Nubs is. Nubs had to come on tonight because I was talking about the narcissism, and Nubs is the classic example of the narcissism. In fact, I want to there's some woman who is a very strong Christian. She talks about narcissists a lot. And I just found her channel not too long ago, and I've been listening to her a lot lately. And I really do think that, I swear to you, I was listening to one of her videos today, and I was like, oh man, that is Nubs. It is Nubs. She's talking about Nubs. Does she know him personally? But I was like, I've got to do. So I went out and did a video, and I'm still going to edit it and everything, but I wanted to do a live stream because I was like, I'm not going to like call him out on here and be like, oh, look, the narcissist. But, it is wild that everything she was saying is exactly the way he acts. Let's see. Fo, by the way, glad you popped up on my feed again. Like to hear the positivity. I loved. Thank you for stopping in, brother. And I am so honored that you would come and spend some time with me. Let's see here. Christopher, true about the churches, brother, and basically, in my opinion, they like you said need to be less worldly and get back to the basics of Jesus Christ would be a good starting point. Yes. Foe, know of a God of your own understanding. Know of a God of your own understanding. I'm sorry, Foe. I'm already, my head's a little cloudy today, so I'm sorry if I'm not understanding you right. Angela, yes, we should be spending time with each other more than just for church services. It is so encouraging. We shouldn't be too busy to take time for one another. Yes. Oh, and what was it? Oh, yesterday? Well, I guess 2 days ago now. The 11th was my regular birthday, even though November 18th is my new birthday because that's when I was born again. But I got the greatest birthday present I could ever have imagined. And one of my great brothers who used to come on and leave comments all the time. And he was the first one I ever gave my personal number to because I was like, I was a little worried about that. I was like, but he was homeless, and he had disappeared for a long time, and I didn't know what had happened to him. And he reached back out. He started leaving comments on one of my videos on the 11th on my birthday. So it was the greatest gift I've ever gotten. Just to know he's good. He said he's been on a mission, and he's going to catch up with me soon. So I can't wait to hear from him again. Because I was thinking, he he had just disappeared off the face of the map. And the last I heard from him, he was actually in a hospital. And he said, "Oh, I don't have anything to contact you with." And then that was the last thing. And then so I automatically just assumed the worst. So I'm so happy to hear that he is doing well and so blessed. She sent him here as a spy. For sure. Angela, didn't mean to send that. God bless you all. Good night. Good night, Angela, and thank you for stopping by. I hope you get some sleep now and get some peace. Love you so much. Nature Girl, great to see you. That's the sweetest story and birthday gift. Oh, thank you, Nature Girl, and it is so great to see you. I'm sorry I was about to get off of here, but if there's anything you want me to talk about before I get off, please let me know. I know that there was who was it? A girl named Zoe was Zoe A. Star, and she was on here, and man, my back was hurting so bad, and I had to get off of here because I literally could not sit for another second. And she came on, and she had said the thing that just the entire day and night and day until the next live stream, I was like, I wanted to reach out to her so bad because she was like, I really wish I could feel that connection with someone. And that comment, that's the only comment I think she left that night, but it just resonated with me. And that I felt so heartbroken for her that I remembered when I was in that isolation, and I'm sure Christopher and many of you too, have had that feeling of just that isolation and like you're alone and feel hopeless and abandoned, and at least at some point in your life. And I really do think that is one of the greatest things that Jesus has called on us to spread to others. That feeling that we're not alone anymore, that we're all connected through the body of Christ, that we all have this beautiful, radical love and forgiveness and compassion and peace. And I felt for her so bad, and I haven't seen her again since then. So I want to make sure that everybody, coming on here and have some deep problem that I could talk to you about before I go, or deep concern or issue or anything like that. Christopher, no worries, I'm late. Oh yeah, but it's so great to see you, Nature Girl, and it's been a while. How have you been? Christopher, but I'm sure you're tired, brother, but enjoyed it as always, and it was amazing. God bless you. Love you all. I love you too, brother. And like I said, hopefully tomorrow night we can meet up and talk on here and have the first dual, I guess, like the first guest appearance on the. I'm gonna make a name for. I was thinking of Suffering Leads to Salvation podcast, but I don't know if that's a good name for a podcast. What do you guys think of a name for a podcast? Because I'm thinking about, like I said, as I start to bring guests on and stuff, like actually having that, maybe even putting it on like, I don't know what you have to do to put it on Apple Podcasts or whatever, but I think you just put it on there. Nature Girl, yep, we are never truly alone, though. That's right, we aren't. But when you're lost in life, you can't feel that connection, and that is truly, it's terrifying. It really is, and I was heartbroken that I saw that comment, and I was literally pressing the thing to get off of there, and I felt so bad. Christopher, real quick, and definitely that isolation feeling truly is hellish for sure until you accept his strength and love and go to God. Yes, absolutely. Foe, always alone and always have felt abandoned. I do have several personal things to continue to explore with my own mind. Oh, brother, I'm so sorry for that. I I want to talk to you more about this, Foe. If you don't mind, come back on here tomorrow. I'm going to be on probably 11:30 Eastern. I really do want to talk to you, or if you can, and you want to talk more privately, if you have more private things to say about it, reach out in one of my comments, and I'll send you my email address, and um, we can talk like that. But I know that feeling, brother, and it is absolutely terrifying. It really is. I when I felt that isolation, there was only two times in my life when I got to the point where I wanted to end my life. And there was only the first time was the only time I probably would have actually gone through with it. But God intervened both times. And that hopelessness is all encompassing because you don't feel alive anymore. You'll make yourself, you'll do something to give yourself pain like that. That's why I think people like cut themselves and things, because they do not feel alive, because they're so numb to the darkness and suffering in this world. And I truly believe that I want to help anyone I can, if I can, out of that situation for sure. Uh, Definitely sounds good for tomorrow, brother. I'm going it. I'm going at duels for fools. LOL. I'm kidding. Yeah. Uh, Angela, yes, that's so true, Christopher. We can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely, but God is always there for us. Amen. Christopher, or for nubs, rolls for trolls. Absolutely. Rolls for trolls. Nature girl, thanks for your concern. I'm doing best I can. That's wonderful, nature girl, and hopefully I get to see you on here tomorrow or sometime soon too. Again, I try to be on here every night. I'm trying to push it a little bit earlier because I know people on the East Coast especially are it gets pretty late after midnight. But anywhere from 10:30 to 11:30, I'm going to be trying to start Eastern time. Foe, I talk to God every day. I don't vocalize it because I don't trust my environment. I used to feel that way too. I kept it to myself mostly even after I was saved. Um, but I just had this desire to kind of go out and tell people not too long after. But I was so used to being isolated. Oh, John, I appreciate that, brother. That's so nice of you. God bless you, brother. Yeah, give it a little heart thing. I almost blocked you. I was like, oh, thanks for the super chat. I'm going to block you now. But I was trying to do the heart thing on there. No, John, that is amazing. I really appreciate that so much. God bless you, brother. And yeah, John. Yeah, I know you said you don't want to come on too, but I do enjoy hearing from you, even in the chat. I know it wasn't my thing to even get on and talk at all to anybody, because if I knew I was going to, even if I was on camera, if I knew people were going to see it, I would like freeze up. I always give just like the story of the symbols with, trying to read the Bible with Homer Simpson. When I would, when I was trying to speak in front of people, I would be like Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights after he won his first thing and he didn't know what to do, and he's like got his hands there. He's like, I don't know what to do with my hands, and like he's all terrified. But and God just he completely lifted that social anxiety. That was one of the many things, one of the many gifts he gave me. That social anxiety is completely gone. In fact, it might, you know, I sometimes think like maybe I need a little bit of my ego back because it's like completely gone. Like I need to worry a little bit more about like being presentable and like actually like, I know I want to, not look like a complete homeless guy when I'm out walking around doing stuff. But again, it doesn't really bother me that much. Christopher, for an actual good name for the podcast, I will have to think about it. Yeah. If you guys can think of a good name for a podcast, I'm gonna. It's just gonna be basically the same I'm doing here, except for I'm gonna bring a couple people on every now and then. And if you guys ever want to come on, you just let me know, and I will get you that link. We'll get a time set up for sure. Nature girl, focus, just know people care. Absolutely, Fo. Thanks, man. It makes me. I feel like it's me and God against the world right now. Yeah, and that's again, it's that isolation, and sometimes God will have you in that isolation, in that that lonely road. But I'm telling you, there's others, there's all of us out here. We care for you, brother, and I care for all of you so much. I love you all so much. I know I've never met you guys, and you're like, oh, how can you love us when I've never met you? I swear to you, the love just emanates off of you when you are born again. It's so amazing, and I can't express enough how, especially during the tragedies going on in my life right now, with both my parents, my uncle, and both of my dogs, literally maybe only a couple days, months, maybe a year for I'm lucky for any of them. It's going to be probably a rough year of a lot of deaths in the family and pets and everything. I feel more peace than I ever have in my entire life. I feel more love than I ever have in my entire life. And it is absolutely amazing. And I want to show all of you that you can have that too. And I know a lot of you already have it, but I want us all to, even if we have a strong relationship with God, with Christ, it can always be stronger. It always can be. And we can always learn new things. I learn new things from you guys and from all kinds of other people and from God. God teaches me all the time, every single day. Nature girl, I just started a second job and I'm on East Coast. So I catch up with you at nights. I wake up and can't sleep. It's almost 2 a.m. here. Yeah, it just turned 2 a.m. here too, Nature girl. Yeah, I'm on the East Coast too, down in North Carolina. Well, I'm always happy to have you here, and Angela, I know it's not good that you couldn't sleep either, but I'm always blessed to have you on here, Angela, brother Josh. It seems like you try to be the kind person to others that you needed yourself before you got saved. Yeah, I tried to be the same way, especially for young people, like teens, encourage them. Yes, Angela, that's exactly, encourage them and others in the Lord. Yes, I try to think of exactly how I felt and what I needed to hear before I was saved. And that's a lot of times, if you guys will notice, I don't put like real biblical stuff on the on my like titles of my stuff, because I want people to come in here, and I don't want to like think that I'm going to beat people over the head with Bible verses and be like, you better repent or you're going to hell. Kind of like what kind of shied me away from wanting to be a Christian when I was saved, even, or before I was saved, especially. I want people to understand that Christ is so so much more than what they understand from seeing these often hypocritical and uh, spiritually dead, unfortunately, Christians that they do encounter, and that he is a love that you can't even understand until you feel it yourself. The love of God is so much more than the love that we know in this world. The desire, the emotion, it is so beyond that. It is a love that transcends this world, that is exactly what I needed. And I hope that other people who are lost in life need too. Christopher, I hear that with a little bit of ego, because my ego and anxiety are gone, thanks to God. But no, brother, you look like someone from GQ magazine compared to me and my ZZ Top beard that I'm rocking. Oh, brother, I'm sure I'm sure we'll get along great. Like I said, it seems we've had like parallel paths in life, brother. I'm sure, just like me, you're much better looking than what you think. But even if not, uh, you know, Jesus himself, they said, was not pretty to look at. He wasn't some beautiful guy like he he looked like a what did Isaiah said, like a sprout that came out of the earth. Like he wasn't meant to be beautiful, attractive. He was meant to be beautiful on the inside where it mattered, and that people would see that, the people that were meant to see it, and everybody else would be like, who's this scrub? Like who's this guy calling him the Messiah? He's some plain or ugly looking dude from Nazareth, that small little dumpy town. you know and that's what's just the humble nature of Christ is just so amazing. It really is. Nature Girl, I can tell you truly care. It's true. Absolutely, Nature Girl. I love you and all of you on here. And I swear, if you guys ever need anything, please reach out. I obviously I don't know everything, and if I can help you, I will. And if I can't, I will do anything I can to figure out a way to help. Uh, figure out who can. But the only thing I can show you is the greatest gift that I got, and that amazing love of God is just it's it's something that every single day I thought it would fade, because I'm so used to relationships fading, to the drugs fading, to all these feelings just fading. These feelings of joy just won't stay. It's not faded once. If anything, it's gotten stronger as I needed it to get stronger. And the more we turn to him, the closer we are to him, the more we feel his good works in our life, and it is absolutely beautiful. Angela, may God help us to really notice those who are struggling. We need each other in the Lord. Yes, amen. Christopher, the love truly does, and in my experience, people will sometimes look and stare if it's not because I'm so sexy, but they can feel God's love shining through me. Yes, Christopher, that's it exactly. They there are people now who literally wouldn't have given me the time of day before, and now like they come and like open up like I'm their therapist, and I'm like I absolutely love it. I'm like, okay, yeah, please, I vent to me if you need to, tell me whatever you need to. I I'm there looking like a homeless guy sometimes, especially when my beard gets wild and out of control, and I'm like, I understand. Like it's an inner beauty, and it's not our beauty. It's the love of God showing through us. My life was forfeit. It was ugly, and again broken into pieces and put back the way it was supposed to be from the beginning, the way it was always meant to be. But we have to go through the struggles. Like I think I was saying it on a video I recorded today or yesterday. It's like that the coal turning into a diamond. It has to be for coal to turn into diamond. It has to be under at least 7 miles of earth. It's so much pressure you can't even imagine it. And still, it's still rare that it does turn into that diamond. And yet, we have to go through that pressure, that struggle, that strife to truly turn into that diamond, or else we just crumble into dust. It's the only two options. Nature Girl, and so sorry for your situation. It's so hard to deal with death. I've lost many and much. I'm so sorry, Nature Girl. But I'm grateful I had them while I did. Yes, and obviously, with your parents, it's very, very hard. Um, yeah, the dogs. I am so blessed that I had them for almost 12 years at least. I'm hoping they last past 12 years, but the well, I'll let's see. I'm gonna try to before I get off of here. I'm gonna try to show you guys, if you guys are still on here. Let me show you real quick, and then I gotta get off because I can barely move. I want to show you this bump on my dog's leg because it is. I mean, it's sad, but it's pretty impressive too. Honestly, I mean, I'm thinking it's like a Guinness Book of World Records bump. Like, poor guy. Oh, and he got into the trash while I was in there. Let's see here. Hold on, buddy. I'm coming down to show everybody. Okay, let's see. Look at that thing. Isn't that insane? Wow. It is bigger than my hand can't even fit around it. Poor boy. Oh, you're such a good boy. I know, he got into the trash, see? Oh. All right, everybody. I've got to get off of here. I just had to show you guys that because it's like, it's wild. But yeah, so that's pretty much when that goes. It's probably not too long left for him because they can't fix that up. They can't operate on him, put him under anything. I'm sorry if I missed any of your guys' comments here, but I got to get off because it's I've pushed it past my limit here a little bit tonight. But I love you guys so much. Hopefully I talk to you tomorrow. And Christopher, I'll reach out and send you the link. If anybody else wants to talk in person, please reach out in any of the comments on my videos, and I will check them early tomorrow evening, and I'll just tell you and send you the link right when
I'm getting started. So, I think it can only be one at a time through the YouTube thing, but maybe I'll try to get the StreamYard or something if more people want to get on at once. But I'm going to try that soon. Yeah, Nature Girl. Yeah, he's it doesn't hurt him, but it does bother him because it's so big. And I know it's probably embarrassing for him. But I love you all so much. God bless you. And like I said, if you want to get on and talk in person, reach out and I will send you the link tomorrow. Love you all.